In previous tutorials, we've explained what turntable renders are and how to create them. In this video, we will go into the topic more in depth and show how adjusting render settings influence the turntable output. We will also outline the differences in normal and ray trace render. If you want to refresh your knowledge about the basics of rendering, follow the link to the video or click the suggested links to the Help Center. To start, we'll open the file and load a snapshot. Let's open the render window and first set our render output to turntable. Now, we choose a render output type, either HTML file or animated GIF. An HTML file can be viewed in a browser window and comes with a supporting folder with the same name containing associated files. It is recommended to save a turntable inside a folder as there are two components saved and belong together that should not be separated. Let's look at a saved turntable to understand this better. This turntable can be used to view a 3D garment from different angles without needing VStitcher. We can open the turntable in full screen, zoom in and out, and turn the garment around just like a 3D object. Looking at the associated file folder now, we can see that it contains several JavaScript files and image file folders. The image file folder is the most important to us as it contains the rendered images that create the turntable. In this case, we can see that the turntable render is made of a number of separate images that are put together. The number of images depend on the level of detail in the turntable. Note that you can use these images to create animations in third-party software as well. Sending an HTML turntable by email is a great way to share 3D designs with people who don't have the software. You must send the HTML file and other associated resources in the folder together. This probably is best done with a zip file. Without the resources folder, the HTML file is useless. Let's take a closer look at render settings now. First, we go through some settings we already know. The turntable size section is where the render settings for HTML output are different from the settings of animated GIF. We adjust the size and layout of our turntable by changing the number of pixels. Next, we select the level of detail: simple, detailed, or custom. A simple turntable consists of 4 angled views of the garment. A detailed turntable consists of 7 angled views of our garment. A custom turntable is an individually configured turntable. We set the angles, these are the angled views, and the zooms, which determine how close we want to zoom in to the garment. Note that we can create a turntable with up to 360 angled views, which generates a smooth-looking turntable that appears like a 3D object. When deciding whether to render a simple, detailed, or custom turntable, it is important to keep in mind how much detail is needed and how much time and render credits we're willing to spend. Note that render credits are only applicable to users with Cloud Render Service. The fewer angles that are rendered, the less time and render credits the render process uses up. When rendering a GIF, we can directly export an animated image series of our rendered 3D garment in Browseware. Note that a GIF automatically plays in a loop. You cannot manually navigate an animated GIF. We can choose to use normal render or V-Ray render depending on the quality of render time that we're looking for. Here, instead of choosing the level of detail, we select the file size. A small GIF has a layout of 250 by 250 pixels, has a total duration of 7 seconds, and displays at 18 frames per second. A large GIF has a layout of 500 by 500 pixels and also has a total duration of 7 seconds and displays at 18 frames per second. When creating a custom GIF, we can adjust the turntable size, total duration, and frames per second. Finally, let's look at the difference between turntable render with normal render and turntable render with ray trace render. This is a detailed turntable render with normal render. It represents the garment as seen in the 3D window. This is a detailed turntable with V-Ray render. You can see that the garment in Avatar looks more realistic, especially details like seam workmanship, the embroidery on the blouse, and shadows that give more true-to-life impression. In this video, you've learned how to render turntables. For more information, check out the Browseware Help Center.